should I do this too?
Can you also do it?
No. So I guess that answers our question.
Is my bed? Hopefully my bed's made.
I can't tell. You're blurred out.
Cool. You just see my beautiful face then?
Yeah, it's cutting off a little bit of the top of your head.
And how much weight I've lost, maybe. Let me see if I can. How about, is that better?
Go down a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. You're so right.
Perfect.
For real?
Yep.
Well, Dave, here we are again. It has been quite some time since we've talked to our people. You know who these people are. It is the 20th of March. And do you know what's wonderful about March?
It means that it's almost April.
That's right. And they say March comes in like a lamb and out like a lioness.
I'd never heard that. That's cool because it means the spring has sprung.
Let me just double check that. Out like a lion, in like a lamb. What the hell is this? Okay, it's used to describe the weather in March.
Wow.
In the northern hemisphere, where it tends to be very harsh and unpleasant in the beginning, but milder and more palatable at the end. A shortening of the full phrase, March comes in like a lion and out like a lamb.
So as far as the weather, we can confirm that is accurate. Now, as far as the State of the Union, maybe it's done the opposite. I noticed you liked my tweet the other day about I was at the grocery store and I realized that my family has been priced out of red meat. I meant that. I'm looking through the fresh meat section and I see, well, red meat's not an option. It's just not.
Yeah.
I'd have to be a very wealthy man to spend the kind of prices they're asking. And it's not even that I feel like we can afford it, but we know what we were paying for it 6 months ago. And I'm just against paying double, triple for the same thing. Doesn't sit right.
Are you so you want to lead with inflation? I love
think
that.
We probably should, honestly, because it's at the point now where I think all of us are noticing it.
Yeah, let me pull up your Twitter. Should I go ahead and show everybody your latest tweets, or is that too invasive? Maybe we should sit back from that.
I think the tweets are fine. I don't think I've said anything too crazy.
Okay. Well, I mean, this is a segment we could do now, or we could do it at a later date. I'm looking here. We have Leah Thomas, who was ranked 462. So it kind of bounces around.
Let's go back to Leah after. We'll do it alphabetical order. I before L.
Okay, so we'll start with inflation, and I'm just looking at your tweets right now. But it's just gotten crazy, right? Let's just talk about our experiences with inflation right now.
Yeah, I want to hear your personal story about what you're noticing at the grocery store. Take a sip. I'm going to put a little dip in.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Burns.
Yeah, so what I'm noticing at the grocery store is pretty simple. There's nothing there. I choose, we either go to Walmart or we go to Acme, and there's not a thing there. They don't have, there's missing, I think this is significant because it reminds me of sort of what the middle class is lacking. All the moderately priced meat, like the medium-sized cuts of fillets, are missing. So all of those under $20 affordable pieces where you can get like 4 of them and it kind of covers your whole family. It might be, it used to be $12 and you had 4 like little fillets. They weren't the biggest guys in the world. It wasn't the best. It wasn't New York strip, but it was something along those lines. All those are unfindable now. You can't find those. What they have are, you got the cow's tongue, you have these giant pieces of cow. A cow's tongue's like this big.
You got the tripe, they call it in the biz.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
You're either getting a half a cow, like I'm talking like this big, and that, by the way, is $200, or you're getting not even Milanese. We can't find cheap meat, affordable meat. So it really struck a chord with me when you said my family, I went to the grocery store, and I noticed my family's been priced out of red meat. It's so true. You're not broke. I'm not broke. If anything, I would say we're middle upper class people. We we own our houses, for example, outright. We have, I don't think we've got boats, and I can say that plurally now, which sounds cool. We have docks
Repo Man
and
Dan.
investments.
Repo Dan Rothschild.
I'm not the richest guy in the world, but this shit is biting me, bro.
Yeah.
And my brother, and I gotta say that my dad, the Democrat, Bill Mitchell, the Democrat, he will shush me. He's always been a little bit rude, and he's a very rude guy, but he would shush me at dinner. We're not talking about that. We do not talk politics. I mean, he's a rude ass boomer. And I've noticed that it's changed. When I call him now, he goes, I can't fucking believe it. He's using the F word. My dad's like the yoga guy, and he's cussing on the phone at me. He's like, it's so fucking ridiculous. I can't even believe it. And he's like losing his cool over these, honestly, the Biden regime. He's the Democrat. And he's just like, the lies that we're being told, the wokeism, all this shit is destroying the fabric of America. And my dad is that middle left person that represents so many. And so if my dad is outraged, my yoga, fucking Tai Chi, stretch in the morning, doesn't watch the media, so all that he's getting are what he's seeing in real life. He refuses CNN, refuses Fox News, legacy media. He might look at the News Journal, which is the local Delaware paper, only at work. And he doesn't even barely do that anymore. So, I mean, I couldn't believe it. He's the one flipping out. It used to be just me. He told me that you and Ben were right when you guys created some of the songs that you would make for InfoWars and stuff like that. He goes, you were right. And we were shushed at dinner that night. I mean, I remember being at dinner with his wife, Carol, and he's like, JD, we're not talking about that, and it might be, it's something you do for others. So he was being convinced by this woman, and then he was like, it doesn't even work. He found out, and instead of hiding like most liberals do, they go, oh no, it still does, or they're caught up in their lie, they're too embarrassed to admit that it was bullshit. He admits it. He goes, we were totally fucking duped. We were duped, and we continue to be duped, and I'm so over it. This war in Ukraine, so over it. This is my father. Just wanted to put that out there. Sorry for the rant.
I think it's good to use him as an example of what could represent a huge portion of the country and people. Do we blame Vladimir Putin for the rising gas prices, or is that nonsense cover for bad policy crippling
Day one?
Our economy?
Really good question, and I want to know your answer too. I could tell you the counter argument if you'd like. Ready for the counter argument?
Mm-hmm.
Gas prices in England are higher. Do what you will with that. That's the counter argument. That's what the libs are arguing.
Now the other side would say day one of Biden's administration, how many people were fired when they closed down the Keystone Pipeline? Like, we had become, love or hate Trump, whatever. We had become energy independent to a degree for the first time, and we all felt that in our pockets. And when you start hitting people in their pockets, that's where you really start getting everyone to pay attention. Like I think I've said before, I can't go to a gas pump without a "I did that" sticker. Usually there's like 7 of them ripped off. You can still tell what the stickers are. Even when I was in Wilmington, Delaware, the hometown of Biden, just a few weeks back with you, they were still there on the pumps in his hometown.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's feeling it to the degree where enough people have gone out and bought these stickers, and they're taking the time to, on camera, just go ahead and put them up. Everyone's feeling the hit. Even chicken. I bought chicken today. It's like 10 pounds because I want to eat organic so that nobody gets whatever kind of wild cancers they're putting into the other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to spend $10 for the chicken for the night. It's going to cost me $4 just to drive there and back in the gas.
$4, that's if you go, 10 miles each way, that's $4 probably more than a gallon you're burning, I imagine, if you're stopping at some red lights and stuff like that.
And I think a liberal argument would be, it's a small price to pay, blah, 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 because the adults are in charge now and the right things are happening somehow. Meanwhile, while we all slept, Congress gave themselves, did you see they gave themselves that 21% raise?
Oh my God.
Did you see that?
I couldn't even, what did they say? We're $40 trillion in debt as a nation. 40 trillion. And that number is probably low, the one I'm giving you. And then this was a tweet by somebody, I don't know if it was Jack or who it was, but it was really well founded. And he goes, yeah, we have $40 trillion in debt, and then we're giving a $300 billion loan, forgive me if the numbers aren't perfect, to Ukraine. That's a lot of money that's being transferred. And then the question was, how, if we're this much in debt, can we give to a foreign country that's not even in NATO, that we have no agreement to support, and all at the same time, we're going to up the salaries of the Congress, men and women, and the Senate by, what did you say, 30%?
21. You know what that is? That's so they don't have to feel inflation, right? They're not going to have to feel that.
They're paying themselves over inflation now. And I'm literally in a conversation with somebody right now. Okay, Bodie just called me, and Greg Green, who's hilarious, another guy, amazing.
Here, call Bodie real quick and put him on speaker and see if we can hear him. Let's do a 3-minute check-in with Scotty, since he doesn't know how to do the technologies, or he refuses to do the technologies.
Okay, no problem.
And I'm going to quickly bring up the exact numbers of how much we gave to Ukraine.
Just so you know, he's going to want to talk about the new repoed boat, is probably on his mind, because he's really excited about that thing.
It's very exciting. If we want to talk the repoed boat, if people want to understand why your new name is Repo Dan Rothschild, then this could be the conversation to keep them up to date.
Hey, brother, what's going on? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I couldn't hear you before. So.
Turn him up and get him way closer to the mic.
I got him all the way up right now. This is a shitty old iPhone 8. Where is that coming from? Can you try speaking again?
Can you hear me okay?
Is that a little better, Dave?
No. Can you hear me, Danny?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, I forgot to tell you that we're actually live right now on our podcast. And we wanted you to weigh in as you were calling about a couple of different things.
What's up, man?
But unfortunately, we can't hear you, so we might have to postpone this segment until later, right? Dave, you can't hear him at all? Yeah, let's postpone this segment, but it sounds pretty good. Like, this guy's not going to have an opportunity to buy this boat.
Here, call him right back on your wife's phone on speaker. I don't want to have to edit around it. We're going to let this one just fly.
Okay. Bodie, let me call you right back. Okay, bye.
I'm going to read an article while you get your wife's phone, and I'll fill that dead space.
Perfect.
So let's see. Biden's Ukraine aid package is getting supersized by Congress. Let's see here. Lawmakers on Wednesday unveiled a $13.6 billion Ukraine aid package that took President Joe Biden's request for weapons and training for Ukrainian forces and put it on steroids. Part of a sweeping $1.5 trillion measure to fund...
All right, now I got you. Ben, sorry to interrupt. I think you were onto something there.
Well, all I want to say is the number is actually $13.6 billion to Ukraine.
I think we can hear you now, but let me... Ben, sorry to interrupt, but I found a quick solution, which is my iPad.
Excellent. Now get him on speaker and get him near that mic, and it should sound fine.
Right now, I can't hear Ben.
Okay, can you hear him, Ben?
I can hear him.
Okay, we can hear you, Bodie, but we can't. You're not going to be able to hear Ben. So Ben does have a question for you, though. Ben, what's your question?
Oh, did I have a question?
Yeah, we were just going to have him weigh in on what? Inflationary measures?
Yeah, let's tell him we're on inflation right now. Has he felt it?
We're on the topic of inflation, Bodie. Have you felt it or experienced it at all?
I know it's out there. I haven't been doing much driving and all that other kind of stuff with the gallons of gas and those kinds of prices and the food prices. And, sometimes in construction projects, I've noticed the material, getting up there. But yeah, I mean, the inflation stuff is real. I think a lot of people are pretty good, especially the people that don't really have a lot of money. Having to fill up the tank costing us twice as much. It's kind of fucking people.
Yeah, twice as much. Gas tank is fucking with a lot of the middle class. People can't make it to work right now.
It's but yeah, not good.
Definitely not good. Now, let's just switch gears, and Ben, let's come back to inflation, but let the audience know what we're experiencing. Is one of my investments that was supposed to kind of be foolproof to the inflation and to the I sort of made this investment because the opportunity came at the right time, and I thought it was brilliant because where we keep Laura Blue and Blue Skies is really a sacred dock in a natural deep harbor. So I went ahead, and the opportunity arose where a brain surgeon said, I'm going to sell 3 of them, and they're going to be expensive, but I'm going to sell them, and is anybody interested? And I did. I went ahead and bought them. And they are on a different pier, but right parallel to our dock, so it has some of that mysticism and some of that magic. Never have I once had a problem with the folks who lived in these slips. It's a 40-foot slip. You could put a 42-foot sailboat in there, but you don't want to exceed the slip much beyond that. And by the way, if any of our listeners, actually probably we shouldn't even mention that, because I was going to say if they're interested in a slip, we might have one soon, but truthfully we won't, because the guy who rents it said that he's undergoing a divorce, and he's been renting it since September, and he has yet to come up with any real money to pay his bills, which has set him behind by some $2,000. He can't do it. And he goes, well, I'm getting a personal loan. That's his latest thing. And I'm just waiting for that to be approved. And before this, it was, I had to pay my kids' Catholic school tuition. And my wife says, she's tired of it. She goes, this is the Tinder swindler. This guy's bullshitting you every month about being paid. And I'm like, I felt so embarrassed because I'm like, yeah, because I was making fun of the girl on Tinder. the Tinder swindler girls. I was like, why would they give him? Now, I'm not giving him any money, but essentially I am. Essentially, I'm giving him the cost of what it is to live there, $400 a month, and he's making excuses.
Well, you didn't get to the best part. He brought up, which is something we've been talking about and hoping for, he is going to just sign over the 30-foot sailboat to you, which from what we've seen looks like it's in good condition. Yeah,
the sailboat's really cute. It's called Pilgrim. It is about 36 feet. Maybe 20, maybe 32, somewhere in that range. It's adorable. And he goes, maybe my way out is to sign it over to you guys. And I go, yeah, that would be a way out. At first, I wasn't interested in it, but after talking to Bodie and talking to Ben, I'm thinking, if we triple team this and sort of all have our own responsibilities with it, this is going to be the shit. Now I lost Bodie. Should I just give up on Bodie?
He'll call you back, won't he?
I'm calling him back right now. So
yeah, it's kind of exciting that there might be another sailboat in the mix. We can race them, we can crash them, we can sink them.
What sucks here is that on the phone he can't hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we lost him. So that was hard to do anyway because it was hard to understand him, but I might have a couple pictures of it if the people want to see some pictures.
Yeah, try the screen sharing because you've been good at that. You're going to keep that part of the production up.
I love that, but this is going to be a bad screen share because I'm just going to use the webcam to show, because I don't know how I'd access these pictures on my non-Mac workstation. I'd have to go into my iCloud account, I think. And Lord knows how deep into it that is. But I sent these to the Radicalized boys, and all right, so like it's kind of cute. I'm going to hold it up, Ben, see if it focuses, and
Not focused.
Just totally unfocused
Yeah.
until it gets down to my face.
And it's like blur. The background blur is like blurring it.
Oh shit!
It's really quite nightmarish. Because the blur setting has it where it locks onto faces.
Here, let me email it to myself, and then I'll just pull it up on the computer. Yeah.
Now I saw a bar graph the other day that would be really interesting to talk about. Bar graph of vaccinated who support war in Ukraine. Who support Ukraine.
Oh, this is cool.
Or who believe that this is so interesting. Who believe that Russia is committing war crimes. I'm not gonna be able to find it. This is why little things like this I should just tweet them to you, so I don't look like a fool in the moment.
Right.
Because now it's just my word versus whatever. But it said
you don't sound like a fool. What's up?
Well, if I can't prove it, there's those kinds of people who are going to say, prove it. The bar graph was people who were triple vaxxed or more, people who were double vaxxed, then people who refused vaccination. And it was their opinion on whether or not Russia is committing war crimes. Now, which demographic out of those three do you think was most likely to believe that Russia is committing war crimes?
Oh, yeah, that's good because those are the ones that are swindled.
It was the quadruple vaxxed. Double vaxxed, it was like 88. It was like 88% believe that. Then when you got down to the double vaxxed haven't taken the booster, so they're already kind of like, okay, something's off with the information we're receiving. I'm gonna just kind of lay low for a minute and figure things out. Only like maybe 50% of them believe that Russia. See, I need the exact numbers, but then as far as the people who refuse vaccination, it was only like 20% believe Russia is committing war crimes in Ukraine. Now, me personally, I don't know what they're doing. I just know that I keep hearing both sides, and they're not lining up at all.
Right.
To find the middle ground, I can't, because they're both saying completely opposite things, and both seem to have some merit, either side.
Right.
I think the most likely scenario is they're all bad. All sides are bad. All that money given over to Ukraine, you think the people are going to see that money? Imagine if someone tried to bail the U.S. out of some crazy situation. Do you think they would ever get that money to the people? No. It would go to Pelosi.
Yeah.
The citizens aren't going to see that money. Now you see, how many commercials do you see now, whether it's YouTube or TV or radio, everyone's asking for money for Ukraine. And all those people who are like, oh, I'm a good-hearted person, I want to help, just sending out that money. Where's the money really going? And all this Zelensky green screen talk, I don't know what that's all about. You seen that?
Yeah, a little bit. Could you fill us in, though?
Well, the one he released yesterday or the day before, where he's outside, allegedly in Kiev.
Well, you're going to get a lot of shit for not pronouncing that correct. I don't know how to pronounce it either. But
well, they have two different ways now. It used to be Kiev, and now it's Kyiv, because I think Biden said it as Kyiv, and they were like, yeah, it's Kyiv now. Something like that.
That's incredible how the whole thing changes based on to protect him. Everything's about protecting him.
I think so. There's just a lot of people who think that Zelensky is a fraud and an actor still to this day and a coward, and he's putting his people in danger by encouraging them to go up against the Russian military, by encouraging citizens to fight. So who knows? You can see it either way, I suppose, but there's a lot of people saying he already fled, and these videos of him, like the one the other day when he walked out, they're like, there's no vapor coming from his mouth as he speaks. Like, it's 20 degrees outside. Like, that's bizarre. He's not even wearing a heavy jacket. It's cold. Little things like that. They're like, the lighting's off, all these things. Who knows? But like, a lot of regular people are thinking that, not just like conspiracy people. I'm seeing these kind of conversations now on blue checkmark pages. Much more mainstream accounts are starting to say things like, this is fishy. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
We're living in this crazy reality now.
Well, the reality is we were warned about this, and I hate to talk about Joe Rogan, I hate to talk about Alex Jones, but these fuckers warned us about this when they talk about deep fakes and how if you thought the moon landing was real based on the images, like, we are a million times better now at faking shit. So we can do some substantial things. And Biden has a fake White House. Biden does speeches from a fake White House. It had like, he really fucked it up though. It was like blooming cherry blossoms, and everybody's like, it's the dead of winter. There's no cherry blossoms. But leave it to his crew to fuck it up. But
it almost feels like they're trying to put it all in our face though too. It kind of feels like they're trying to make it so absurd, like the Leah Thomas thing. Like you see this giant man who's like a foot and a half taller than the second and third place in quotes, because they really would be first and second place if they weren't racing against a man, a biological male who still has a penis.
I have a couple pictures that you have here of Leah Thomas, and let's switch to that as we discuss her.
Her, look how respectful. Look how respectful
I try to do the right thing. But it's been so long since we've done a Skype that I'm like, what exactly are we doing here?
How do I share a screen? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so we should be sharing a screen. I don't know if you're seeing a shared screen right now.
So far, I'm just seeing. Yep, there we go.
Okay, so what you're looking at here is William Thomas. He was ranked. What's his rank?
462nd for men's swimming.
Long story short, he was not an all-star on the men's crew. 462 is better than what I've been in my life. So I give him some props. You know, he tried hard as a swimmer. Now, as a woman, how well does he do?
First place. And, you know, he grew the hair out. I don't know if he's going to cut the penis off or not, because now the debate is, can women have penises? And about 1/8 of the population, severely mentally ill, believe that women can have penises.
Yeah.
They believe that's the science.
Okay. Yeah, that's the whole new debate, is can women have penises and compete? Now, I like to, if you go to my Twitter, which I'm going to stop sharing for a second, because I have to be a little private about mine, because people call me a bigot and a fascist and a Nazi and a racist. But so let me pull up mine. I just expect it to happen. It's pretty normal. I want you to see this lovely woman, this sweet angel doll of a woman, who really placed first. Her name's Emma Wayant. I definitely want to make sure I get her name right. Emma Wayant. She swims for the University of Virginia, and she represented the USA at the Tokyo Olympics. She finished in second place to a male. We just looked at Leah in the women's 500.
What you can say and not get in trouble, to a biological male, right? Leah Thomas is a biological male, but they're saying that doesn't mean that you are necessarily a male. Biologically, yeah. He's got the parts, he's got the muscle mass, he's got the... Yeah, look, that looks like a girl. That's a girl.
That's a real woman. Now, you can tell by a million physical things, and we can play that game later. I think that'd be a fun game. Is it a man or is it a woman? Because some of these trans people really do a good job of dressing like the opposite sex, or like making surgical adjustments so that they appear like women. But that's a fun game maybe we can play in the future. Is it a man or is it a trans woman?
But the most absurd thing about this particular case is, like, if you're going to say that some trans people really, really pull off the look, Leah Thomas is one of the farthest away from pulling off the look. Like, you could see the bulging penis and testicles, and she stands a foot above the competition, and the shoulders are so massive. It's so absurd, and they're asking you to accept it because they're asking you to bow down to the New World Order. They're asking you to suspend all common sense and trust in them. That's all this is about. It's about total control. It's all 1984. It's all Brave New World. This is, not only is this a woman, this is the greatest woman athlete in swimming right now. And yes, she is a foot taller and a foot wider and twice as strong as everyone she's competing against. And yes, she has a penis, but she is a woman. You better have some respect for her.
I want to look up, I don't know if they'll have it. I want to look up Emma. I probably can't use I heard you can't even use DuckDuckGo anymore.
It's gotten worse.
Do you know which ones you can use?
For something like that, you can use anything as long as they're not trying to hide anything.
Well, they might be. I'm gonna ask for what Emma, our sweet Emma. What was her name? Emma.
You already copy pasted it, I thought. Emma.
I thought I did too, right? I want to see what the Leah Thomas versus Emma Wyatt.
Wyant. Weyant.
Arm length comparison.
Because that could have something to do with your swimming speed.
I would say it has probably like everything to do with it. So look, they're going to try to hide it. Let's see. There she is. What an incredible female. Oh shit. Okay, so let's look at the wingspan of this boy. Unbelievable. And let's go back. Look at this shit.
Who is that?
Oh, wait, is that not him? I think you get the point. That might not be our famous Leah Thomas, but my God.
You'd have to look up their stats individually, probably, because only a neo-Nazi would put both of those stats on the same page side by side.
Right. So here's.
But I mean, just the image. I mean, a lot of people have seen the images.
What, can we get them next to each other?
Yeah. Just.
Then we can just visually discuss.
That picture is everywhere. Look at that. Look at that monster.
I mean, look, is he happy with himself? Look at his cock.
Good question, right? It's a good question. Is he happy with himself?
If you look at him, he's kind of not. He's kind of like, fuck.
Hard to say. Well, my old lady here had a theory that he's definitely in on it with like the elite, and they're like, "Hey, this is part of the ritual for humiliation of the masses. We encourage, and we're going to pay you and take care of you." Said it's most likely something like that, where he is very aware of like how absurd this is, but if he goes with it, then he's going to have all of his treasures in the kingdom of hell, and he's going to have a seat right next to Lucifer.
Well, I don't know that he deserves. I'm not ready to. I get what you're saying. He it's kind of like the folks from overseas, like in the desert, when they die, they get 20 virgins or whatever. They can fuck them all. But like, this is, and I always love your wife's ideas, conspiratorial ideas.
I mean, I was me ranting and ad-libbing from what she said. What she really had said made sense to me, that most likely he knows how absurd this is, and he's going with it for some kind of agenda. Who directly is feeding it to him is unclear, but obviously everything right now in mainstream culture is pushing this agenda on everyone. That's all very obvious. And you know this guy, unless he's a total nut job, you know he's like, if he has a soul and a conscience, he's like, this is not right what I'm doing. And I should be ashamed of myself. And I should feel sorry for these young ladies who don't stand a chance against me because I'm so much bigger and stronger than they are. I mean, if you find a girl his size, that would be their argument. They're like, but 1 in a trillion girls can be that strong. Maybe. But that's not what's happening here. And everyone knows it's absurd. I can't believe it's something that's even... It's also front page news, you know? It's very mainstream.
Oh, yeah. They're putting it right out there. And this is another thing where, like, this is when my liberal friends, and I have a couple more images, if you don't mind, of Leah and his opposition. I'm just going to put them up as we just finish this, because I do want to move on from it, but it is important to finish it. So let me just share this as we page through, because it's been a popular topic on the news. And I just think that the second place girl is so sweet. Here she is, like, kind of clapping. Like, okay, like, are we going to clap for this giant male who's twice my size? And she's really a good sport. I give her the best sport award.
Yeah, I like that.
I mean, first of all,
she's a Virginia
adorable.
girl, right? She went to UVA. Yeah, she's cute. She went to UVA. So I'm assuming she's a Virginian. I'm assuming her family's probably like some good old conservative type folks. She knows damn well she got first place. And all of her family's like, baby, look at that monster who beat you, as he towers over you like a villain from a Disney movie.
What are we looking at here? It appears to be two separate pictures, or one where
That's
they
one
fake-
where the second, third, and fourth got together to take a picture because I think they realized like, hey, we're actually first, second, and third, so we're gonna do a little picture here. Even the photographer, as liberal as us photographers can be.
us photographers.
Exactly, I'm one now. He was like, hey, come on, how about we actually get the real winners together for a shot? And we have Gollum, or we have Goliath over here on the left, kind of looking on.
I think this is appropriate. This isn't the one you find when you search for Leah Thomas and his wonderful secondary person who came in second place and worked her ass off since probably, let's say, third or fourth grade. She's been swimming it. She's given up so many sleepovers with her friends. She's given up so many meals, cheesesteaks, when she visits Philadelphia. She says, fuck that, I'm not doing it. I'm focused on being the champion women's swimmer. And what happens when it's her big day, when she's sleeping, she's having egg whites in the morning, she's making all the sacrifices one can make to be a world champion, and a fucking guy puts his cock into the water, pedals faster, and goes, no, I'm actually the winning female.
Not to mention they have to deal with him in the locker room.
What's going on in that locker room? Does he swing his cock around just to,
Yeah, from what I've heard, that he does, and it makes them all very uncomfortable. They're uncomfortable. They're so bigoted, they're uncomfortable with a woman's penis. So you may call Emma Wyant a hero. I call her a bigot for being repulsed. Can you zoom in on that? Wow, that is.
Does he look like a woman to you?
He looks much more muscular than you and I. I think he's much bigger than we are.
One part of swimming that can make you wickedly successful has something to do with your wingspan, they call it. It's the area between your neck and the outside of your shoulders. That somehow is an area that can propel you forward at an alarming rate. If you look at some of the best swimmers, and Michael Phelps jumps, especially as a Baltimore boy, he jumps to mind. His quote-unquote wingspan, his arm length, and the bulk of his shoulders. Do you remember the girls in high school who did swimming? The successful ones always had these kind of larger-than-life shoulders because that's what propels them in the water. And it's incredible. And notice again, who's celebrating the second and third place victory in this photo?
Women.
Okay, the women who won, realistically. Not this young man who's deranged.
Well, the other thing I wanted to say about that is, like, I have to correct myself when I joke about how we're bigoted for that opinion, because have you seen how many trans people are saying they're disgusted by this?
No. What's going on with the trans community? I'm not up to date on that.
A lot of them I've been seeing on Twitter saying this is disgusting, and this has nothing to do with what they were fighting for with trans equal rights. They're saying this is not the same thing we were talking about. They're saying the movement, much like Black Lives Matter, the movement's been hijacked, right? Like, okay, trans people want to fit in and be accepted and be respected for their own choices, and we're all like, cool, we're into it, fine, let's do it. Then they take it here. They take it to this other place where it becomes unfair. This is not fair. This is a bad thing. And the trans community is honestly happy to admit that. The only people who are still, as usual, on the side of this Goliath beating down these women are these liberal, young, white women. That's like the last line of what's stopping us all from being free and happy and using common sense to get through this thing. The trans don't want anything to do with it. And shame on this Leah Thomas. Really shame on Leah Thomas. You know damn well it's not fair. Oh, thank you for the round of applause. It's not fair. You know it's not fair.
It's not fair.
The parents, I don't know. All right, let's move on to the Hunter Biden.
Okay.
Hunter Biden's back in the news.
Let me see if I can just do a quick wrap. I have nothing more to say other than this is something that I think the majority of Americans and people around the world are behind. I think it's a subset of lunatics. I'm trying not to cuss as much because when I'm with my son, we sometimes listen to this and I don't want him to get the bad impression. When we're drinking too much, sometimes the F-bomb's going back and forth. Back to Leah Thomas, going to finish this up quickly. She has an arm reach. I remember when Lennox Lewis boxed Evander Holyfield, or was it Mike Tyson? And that was the deciding factor. He couldn't reach the other guy. You know, Lennox was this British guy who was taller and can just jab him away. He didn't have the power of Mike or Evander, whomever he was against. He was a smaller dude in stature. There was no competition. It was fucking over because of that wingspan, I think they call it. The length of his arms, the length of their shoulders, and that is often the deciding factors in games like swimming. I don't want to call them games. In sports trials like swimming and boxing, I mean, if you have a better, longer, more able body.
Well, also think about carnival games. Like games where you've got to drop a ball through a hoop or something. These long-armed people, really, they might be the enemy, actually. That might be. Okay, let's say you're playing darts with one of these long-armed freaks, okay? How's that for them? They pretty much just stick it in. On that note, let me do a quick bathroom number 1 and a quick refill on the drink.
Same. I'll see you back here at 4:48.
I'll see you even sooner. God bless you.
God bless you.
Bye now.
So we're back to the podcast. We took a quick break. I actually made out with a nice bowl of this chicken soup stew that my wife makes. And so I haven't taken a bite of it yet, but it's unbelievable. I always put too much hot sauce on it because I'm addicted to hot sauce.
Me too.
And I end up in the bathroom for the rest of the evening, but it's worth it.
Yeah, it's good. That's how I eat as well. So, okay, this is a fun tidbit for the world. Of course, you're from Wilmington, Delaware, the home of the Bidens. And your computer repairman, man, is the very same computer repairman that Hunter Biden took one of his laptops to. So we knew about this years ago, as a lot of people knew who don't get their info from the mainstream, that they found some questionable material on Hunter's laptop, and everyone thought it was a really big story, and it all came out the first time right before the election. So mainstream media, maybe you can pull this up, NPR said they're not going to cover Hunter's laptop because it's not important. Now, is that the guy?
That's my computer guy.
Nice.
He was a Mac repair guy before I switched over to the Master Race, which is the PC.
So now we know that Hunter uses Mac, and we know that you still believe in the Master Race.
By the way, that none of these, I don't know why they have these doctors, but this is actually him. He's a nice guy. He wears a patch over his eye, and he ran a Trolley Square, which is where my previous home was, Wilmington, Delaware Mac repair shop. Real nice dude. A little bit odd with the Dan Cranston eye patch.
Crenshaw. Dan Crenshaw. You'll never get his name right, will you?
Dan Crenshaw. So what is this guy's actual name? Is like the Wilmington Computer Repair Shop Biden. This has me in Wilmington, North Carolina? I mean, you see how far Microsoft Bing goes to kind of hide. So let's see, images. Yeah, so here's where I had my mouth. It's called the Mac Shop. We went to the same one. It was a walk from my block. He gave me a quote on how much a new screen would cost. I'm notorious. By the way, I always thought this was a boring sign. We fix Macs, but no. Oh, look, now it's closed now. So his livelihood has ended now. Worth noting that the Mac Shop is no longer available. So what do we know about that? I'm glad you brought this up. What's going on?
Well, let me see if I can share my screen real quick.
Yeah, please.
I guess this is how we do it. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
New York Post, okay?
Oh, yeah.
NPR, National Public Radio, has corrected an online article that falsely asserted that documents from first son Hunter Biden's laptop had been discredited by U.S. intelligence. A book review of Hunter Biden's memoir, Beautiful Things, initially dismissed the documents first reported in October by the Post. I remember this. New York Post got censored on Twitter for sharing the article originally, even though it all turned out to be true.
That was a really big deal. It was right before the election, and it wasn't just Twitter. I think it was Facebook too. It was a massive online campaign to get rid of these last-minute details that might affect the outcome of the election.
Against the New York Post, the nation's oldest press, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, it's all coming out now, more about what a lot of us knew back then. If only people would just not listen to the TV, they would know all this stuff. But it's interesting this is coming back up now for a second round. It makes you wonder. Let's see what this video is all about here.
It's a shame we don't have the vocals. Can you share your screen's vocals?
Oh, you can't hear it?
Yeah, there's a way to like share the vocals from your computer too.
Do I do that within Skype?
Yeah, within Skype.
Huh.
Click on your microphone area.
All right. Microphone area.
Like down, like your microphone. What mic are you using? Like on your own screen, not the shared screen.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it
I don't
should
have
say
any options.
try more.
Okay, more.
Try more and look at audio settings, and maybe you can share your audio on your computer.
Audio and video. Audio, microphone. No, I don't see anything like that. Noise cancellation, speakers.
You know what it is? It's where when you hit share screen, you have the option to share your sound too.
Oh, let me stop sharing screen.
Yep.
Confirm, stop sharing. Let me share screen again. NPR issues. Start sharing. I don't have an option.
Start sharing should give at the bottom. It says share computer sound. There's like a little. It says desktop window. It says choose your screen, and then at the bottom it goes share computer sound, cancel, or start sharing.
Mine doesn't have that at all.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, mine says desktop or window. I wonder if I do desktop. So there's desktop. That's everything now. Can you hear this?
No, but watch this. If I share my computer sound as well as, I don't know what I'm looking at, this window, I could look up. What did you just look up?
Just do NPR Hunter Biden laptop.
I mean, just see if you can hear this.
Hunter Biden had taken out a loan for $1 million to pay some
Loud and
back
clear.
taxes to get himself out of trouble. Well, you know what? As it turns out, the New York Times did that story yesterday, and that was in their lead. But in the 24th paragraph, hardly anybody reads that far into a story. In the 24th paragraph, it mentions an email between Hunter Biden and his associates, and it said in the New York Times, those emails were obtained by the New York Times from a cache of files that appears to have come from a laptop abandoned by Mr. Biden in a Delaware repair shop. Sound familiar? The email and others in the cache were authenticated by people familiar with them and the investigation. Keep in mind, this all came to light before the election. We covered it here. The New York Post covered it. They got a copy of the laptop from Rudy Giuliani. And today they say all the news that's fit to print once Biden is elected. Because before the election, it seemed it was all hands on deck to protect the Bidens.
Yeah, I mean, this story is huge, only because, I mean, all of us knew this, right? We had Tony Bobolinsky on this network. That poor laptop repairman has gone bankrupt because not only did he, as a patriot, I think, bring this forward for all of us to see, but then the government and other people have been attacking him. I think it's really easy to get distracted by, you know, the homemade porn and, you know, the baby mamas and the drugs and the crack pipes and everything else. I believe that this Hunter Biden story is the most important story in politics, despite all the sensationalism that makes it look like it's just a Daily Mail story. It's not. It's so important. Think about the country.
Look how close they are. Look at them looking into each other's eyes with the same vision.
Countries that are in the news right now: Ukraine, Russia, China, you know, at the center of what we're dealing with right now. And we still have not gotten to the bottom of really the Biden family corruption. And more importantly, Joe Biden. Is Joe Biden the big guy who got 10% of the kickbacks?
If that's even a question to you,
Yeah, for real.
You're mad. If you don't think that he's in on it, you think, let me go back. Look at this fucking picture.
All right. Yesterday on this. Yesterday on this program, we told you about.
Anyway, I gotta come back to life here.
That's not working. Yeah. Yeah, you have to wonder who's the big guy. Like, it's not so obvious. So that's the other interesting thing is it all had to do with Ukraine all the way back then. Like, now all that stuff's resurfacing. Like how Hunter makes an absurd amount of money working for a Ukrainian gas company when he has or energy company, he has no background in it. Like an absurd, ridiculous salary.
I saw, was it 300 or 30,000 a month? Was it 300,000 or 30,000 a month?
I think it was 300,000.
Yeah, that makes more sense from oil oligarchs.
It was like 56,000 a week. I think I saw something like that. So what else is interesting about this? And not to even defend the Trump family, but like they kept saying that there was a connection between Trump and Russia. It's all just to take away from the Ukraine thing. Like, there were no actual ties. They didn't find anything in all that searching, yet we have these very obvious ties with the Bidens and Ukraine. And now, like, as soon as Biden's in office, there's this war with Russia, and we have to go support Ukraine and give all this money to Ukraine and hope the money gets to the civilians who need it and not to the crooked politicians and their U.S. allies. There's that great documentary, Ukraine on Fire, by
it wasn't
Oliver
Ken
Stone.
Burns. Oliver Stone, right.
I just finally watched it the other day.
Tell me about it. I missed it. What were the big takeaways from it?
Well, it starts out with a lot of history lesson. And it's kind of, you have to watch it, I think, a few times to remember so many names and all the things. But it's very easy to understand the main point, that the corruption there is so humongous.
Mm-hmm.
And the CIA had everything to do with all the revolutions there and the U.S. influence. A lot of people think it's like a money laundering country for the U.S. and like any kind of global cabal type thing.
Oh, is that what they said?
What's so crazy is back, I think it came out 2017, they keep talking about the Biden family throughout the whole thing. Everything's about, well, Joe Biden helped with this and all this. And that's when Biden used to brag about how he had that guy fired. Remember that one?
Who did he have fired? Remind me real quick.
It was like a prosecutor or something who might have been giving him trouble. And he said, if you want this money, then you have to fire the guy. And he goes, well, son of a bitch, they did it. And he's like bragging about it like the cool guy. And at the time, you know, his followers are so like, he's so cool that he could just kind of admit to like blackmailing and pressuring and manipulating. And his followers think it's very cool when he does it. He's got the sunglasses and like he eats ice cream. He's very cool. They don't think about the corruption involved. But anyway, the documentary, that's really what I took away is like, this is the hell of a corrupt place. And it's true what they say about the Nazis, like their entire West Side, like the Azov battalion, like there's so much like literal Nazis. You know, they call everyone Nazi, but they're literal Nazis. And they still to this day flying the flags and wearing the gear. And the biolab thing is very concerning.
We have so much to talk about. I mean, we have so much to talk about that the more you remind me, it's like, holy fuck, there's so much to talk about.
Well, you're the king of pulling up the articles and showing them to us. So,
well, we're just looking at some neo-Nazis in Ukraine. They are funded by the Ukrainian government. They do border patrols. And you might notice on their sleeve, they have an SS-style sign. It's worse than that. This is not the latest video of it. Of course, I'm on Microsoft, so I'm not getting the real thing. But if we went through it, you might notice signs of Nazism in Ukraine.
Even when Zelensky addressed Congress the other day, right? He wore the T-shirt and it had the Iron Cross on it. Okay, he wore a T-shirt, and a lot of people were triggered by people saying he shouldn't have worn a T-shirt. I personally think, like Harrison Smith, the great Harrison Smith, had noted, his PR company told him to wear that T-shirt. He had time to change his shirt, but it made idiots think this guy is working so hard he doesn't have time to change his shirt. He's out there in the front lines. They think he's out there at battle. They think Zelensky is such a badass.
If you think that ex-comedian is out fighting, like, people might say, oh, well, a lot of people have this wrong with us. People that I work with too, they go, oh, your podcast is, I don't, they, obviously they give us credit for the beautiful shots and stuff like that, but they go, oh, you're pro. Is it a pro-Trump podcast? And I want to remind people real quick, it's not a pro-Trump podcast. It's a pro-people podcast. This is about us as people who are, there's magicians. It reminds me of was it Aristotle, or the cave on the wall where the sunlight came in, and we're the subjects of, in that cave, where we're being shown what to think. I think that's the podcast. It's not pro-Trump. I mean, Trump pushed the vaccines that killed a fuckload of people.
Yeah, and is continuing to do so. We're no, exactly. We're just trying to put spotlights on things we find revealing. That's all. We're just trying to get to the bottom of it all. We're not going to take sides before we know what's going on. And I just think people who have taken a side, they're so quick to ascribe. Is that even a word? They're trying to put that on us.
Sign on to an idea, I think.
Because they picked a side, well, we must surely have picked a side. We haven't. We're on the side of truth still, and we're still figuring out what the truth is. Yeah, ascribe, attribute something to it. People want to attribute to us this whole Trump thing just because we weren't triggered by every little thing that he did. We thought he was quite funny, and we thought his policies were good. And now, I mean, as time goes, I think a lot more people are thinking that too.
Yeah, and I hate to step back here. So what we know is that there is a pro-Ukrainian Nazism government that are part and are getting paid by them. So, and the beliefs of the Nazis are some that have been shot down for centuries. We're taught as children in the public school system in America that Nazis are bad, right? You can almost go up to an infant and say, are Nazis bad? And they go, yeah. Oh, yeah, they're horrible. They're the worst people on earth. And I've never done any thorough investigation of them other than knowing that they did a genocide from, and history is the story of the people who were successful, right? So I wasn't there. I don't know what really happened. I didn't know what, I'm not sympathetic toward the Jews, and I'm not sympathetic toward, I think I'm more sympathetic toward the Jews. But again, our minds are propagandized. We don't know the truth. You think you know the truth? You think you know the fucking truth? Because as a young man, you stood up and did the Pledge of Allegiance, and there was a carefully crafted textbook that was set in front of you to tell you the history of the world, and we know who the goods and bad guy. This isn't a Marvel verse. It's not clear cut. There's two sides to every story. Give me a break. How old are you? How old are you? And you're going, oh, that Putin, he is the invader. Who's doing the real invasion? All I'm asking, I'm not saying we're shit. I should have recorded. That should have been with just my face. But
I'll zoom in on you and post.
Oh, great! It's just like, I really, we're gonna believe what they set in front of us and had us lap up after our government chocolate milk. We're going to sit there with our government textbook and go, oh, he was the bad guy. He was clearly the bad guy. He killed me. We don't know the interworkings of the situation. Let's hear a story from the Axis powers. It's hard to admit. It's hard. And this is the big one. This is the biggest one. We're not even on the biggest one was this so-called Nazi Adolf Hitler, who rallied together a group of people apparently under nationalism and fascism, if you ask any modern day socialite. Many of the socialites are socialists, so they can be the same person. But what I mean is just that we have to stop lapping it up. If you give your kitty whole milk, he laps it up. If you give a society literature in third grade, fourth grade, we're going to lap it up like a kitten lapping milk. And we need to readjust and say, wait, there's two sides to every conflict. Now, can we kill 50 million people? No, that seems pretty villainous to me to do that. That sounds pretty fucking villainous. So there's some level of evil in this guy, probably the worst ever in human history. However, I wasn't there. I did talk to a woman of Jewish descent who survived the horrible times that was. I think most of the world does know that, but knowing now how manipulative the media can be, it's almost like things that should otherwise be like clear cut or black or white. This guy's the villain. It's like, no, because you don't talk to us about Victoria Nuland and how she's in charge of the NATO department who puts presidents in our favor in the bordering countries on Russia. We don't hear about Victoria Nuland. She's the mastermind of this, and her husband's a Nazi. Look up Victoria Nuland's husband. He's a Yale graduate Nazi. He's a right-wing extremist. He was put in place by George Bush, and guess what? The Democrats and the Republicans aren't as far different as you would expect them to be, because guess who hired this motherfucker right back the moment he could? Your Democratic leader, Joe Biden. And Nuland is known for her aggressive movements of people. And in this case, in Ukraine, the poking of the bear that happened in Ukraine was she had hired 20 Nazi, including Americans, she had hired 20 sharpshooters with sniper rifles to go stir up a protest. Do you think that would stir up a protest? Do you think that would stir up a protest? Rand and she was told, and there's documents of this, and she reflects on it sometimes. It's very hidden, but you can find them in the deep web. And she goes, well, it was the right thing for the country or whatever. Okay. And they killed both sides. It was just to get the civilians, the folks that Ben talks about frequently, who blindly walk around and go, they're the NPCs, I think he calls them. It's the majority of America. It's the folks with Ukraine picture in their Facebook profile. And they go, oh, they're the bad ones. And you hear this economic professor. I haven't played that one yet. Let's play that one. I have to find it. So Ben, just reflect on something, and I'm going to stop screen sharing. Well, I'm not screen sharing.
That was a beautiful, beautiful rant.
We did it. We got ourselves in this position, is the rant. And it's like, I'm sorry, it's the sad truth, but it is. It sucks.
It's interesting that you mentioned the Victoria Nuland thing without having watched the Ukraine on Fire documentary, because she's a big part of the whole documentary. And it's just so amazing all these years go by, the same people are in charge of the same shit. It's like the agenda keeps moving forward in their direction, whether you want to think anyone's there to stop it. The whole system seems to be working beautifully. And they're still going for the same shit they've been going for, which is you having a QR code and a social credit score, and a digital ID, digital money, cashless society, where your loan system and your groceries are all based around how well you play ball with the narrative that's being fed down to you from the handlers.
You can't get a legitimate job now. There's jobs now saying that we don't do paychecks anymore. It goes direct. If you don't have a bank account, you can't work here. We only do automatic transfers to banks. Have you guys seen that? Have you noticed that a little bit?
Big time. Let's see. I'm on Brave browser, so that's one of the better ones.
Oh, that's the one I was asking you about. Brave browser. Yeah.
Let's see here about the Ukraine digital passport. Ukraine happens to be pushing everything that Klaus Schwab and the WEF and the globalists, everything they're pushing. Ukraine seems to be one of the front runners of any of their ideas. Ukraine. Okay, here we go. Should I share my screen for a second?
Please.
Let's share this. Okay. This is a .gov here. Ministry of Digital Transformation. Ukraine is the first country in the world to fully legalize digital passports and smartphones. Is it enough for Ukrainians to have a phone with a digital passport for any life situation that requires a passport? Biometric passport and ID card in DIA will be a complete analog of paper and plastic document from August 23, 2021 at the legislative level, while Ukraine an innovator in the use of digital documents. Is that sentence didn't make much sense to me as far as the wording.
Could be on purpose.
Ukraine is the first country in the world to launch digital passports and legally equate them to ordinary documents. Oh, DIIA users. I guess that means digital something. Will no longer face situations when the digital passport is not accepted. This is not just a landmark event in the history of modern Ukraine and a big step towards the introduction of the paperless regime. This is a unique global case that we can and should be proud of, commented Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Digital Transformation, Mikhailo Fedorov. So, that's one of those conspiracies, in quotes, from 2 years ago where we said they're trying to bring about these digital passports where you're not going to be able to play ball unless you play by their rules. They're going to be able to shut down your travel. They're going to be able to shut down your medical aid. They're going to be able to shut down most anything you need access to as a citizen unless you go into a part of that system. And that system is going to include vaccine mandates. Like if you don't have your updated vaccination, you won't be able to buy and sell goods. It reminds me of that old Bible verse in Revelations about you can't buy or sell unless you got the mark of the beast. And they laughed about that 2 years ago and said how crazy it was. But like here it is. It's real. So
No, thank you for taking the time just to share that. That's so important. And it, for some reason, I tend to think I brush that aside because it's like I already feel like I'm being pretty much told what I can't do right now every day. When I go to get gas or gasoline, or I go to the market, or I get food, I know when I'm swiping that card, there's an index of, just everything that I have. They have such control. The security team at PNC, and maybe I'm off with this, but the security team at the PNC Bank called me and they go, "Did you at 3:30 a.m.?" By the way, I'm up at 3:30 a.m. But they go, "Did you get a loaf of bread over at Royal Farms?" I go, "No, that wasn't me." They go, "Okay, all right." So they know your rhythms. The banks already have so much information on you. They know that typically on a Friday night, you're not up until 2 because you're tired from the work week.
yeah.
They're already in us. So that's why I don't go too crazy with a lot of these things.
And all these things that they can say the other side, they're like, well, we're just looking out for you. It's for your safety. We're making sure that no one's in your account and all this. We're collecting all this information to help you. The reason we know everything about you is so we can help keep you safe.
So important. And even in you could look at iPhone security features where it's like, oh, you have a very specific face that will use that to protect you against people breaking into your cell phone.
That one bothers me all the time, having to do the face scan. And they say good news. We're constantly updating our images of your face from all angles. Good news. We know your face better than you do. You can throw on sunglasses and a backwards hat and be sitting in low light, and we still know it's you. Congratulations.
I'll wake up at 3 a.m. trying to be quiet because my wife, I'll dim the light on my iPhone or my iPad. I have this big iPad, so no matter what light it's on, it kind of stirs her sometimes when I turn it on if I wake up. And I turn you can't see, I'm in bed sideways, and they go, good, you're good. We know everything about your face. Just to calm us down, here's a picture of a bear taking a bath.
Oh, I like that. That reminds me, I was going to tell you a nice animal story. Oh, I love a bear. I love a good bear. I don't care what they say. That reminds me of Baloo big time from the Jungle Book.
Just kind of the way he's relaxing in it.
Yeah, he's not only is he using the bath, he's lounging, he's He's loving it. He's a
He's
happy
us.
bear.
In many ways, that's us. We want a good salmon, and we want a good respite.
Look at him. What a cutie. That reminds me, I was watching a documentary. I think last I saw it when I was so drunk I don't hardly remember it, called My Octopus Teacher on Netflix. Holy hell, what a documentary.
What is
This
that?
guy, he's just like
It says I have an hour and 40 and 50 minutes of recording.
we've only been on the call for an hour and 47. We didn't record that whole last bit.
Fuck me, bro.
Fuck me too. I should have noticed. I thought I saw it saying recording down there.
Shit. I feel like that was some of our best freestyle too.
It was. We were like really we were in the zone. But what I'm noticing is we're getting more in the zone as time goes, and we just need to keep doing this more often.
Yeah, so let's take what we have and see what we have, and then maybe Thursday we can get in the zone and just retouch on all this awesome material.
Thursday, how about we do it every day, like 45 minutes every day?
I would love to.
Instead of our phone calls, we'll just
I'm
do
waiting
this.
on you. So like I'm pretty much always available with gas prices the way they are.
Well, if
I'm
we're
gonna
doing it
be
like
right
this,
here.
we can do this all the time.
All right, what is this going to look like? What is this going to sound like? Go ahead and bring it in, and I'll see you tomorrow. And could you somehow send me, or maybe I could look myself, where we cut? Because then I'll know where we are, and we can pick it up from there tomorrow.
You got it. God bless you.
You sounded great.
You did.
We fucking rocked it. It's always the best, dude. It's always the best when we do
You
it.
were
this
on
way.
fire.
I'm just a person.
You were on fire. You're not just a person anymore. All right, let's go watch some of it and see if it's cool.
Okay. Do you want to do it offline?
Can we watch it while we're online?